First, thank you so much for your excellency for accepting our invitation in this podcast. First, we would like to, this is the first edition of the African Climate Summit. We want to know from your excellency the key messages that you focused on during your participation in this historic event.
Thank you very much. As the African Union, our role was to convene the summit as directed by the AU heads of state and government. And from there, of course, to prepare the documents that are necessary. And of course, Kenya was to host. And from our end, we are actually guided by the leadership of His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, and also by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, who is His Excellency Dr. William Ruto. And they provided the strategic vision in terms of where we should go. But what is quite clear is that the aim was to reinforce unity on the continent so that Africa can be able to speak with one voice on matters of climate change. But in addition to that, also to look at the domestic resources that we have and their potential in terms of making a contribution to addressing climate change, especially when it comes to issues of decarbonization, because some of the minerals that we have are quite critical, in terms of sustainable smart cities or in terms of electric mobility and all other opportunities that come with green investments. And maybe further than that also was to create room for every stakeholder to be able to participate in this green revolution, especially the youth and women. And as the African Union Commission, right now we have got an ongoing event which is taking place every day, and that is dedicated to climate innovation, particularly with a special focus on women as well as the youth.
Perfect. Your Excellency just referred to like the great potential that Africa has in terms of attracting green investments. In your opinion, how this summit will help to scale up also and attract more green investments in the African continent?
Well, the whole issue about the summit was also to change the narrative so that we don't look ourselves as victims. And we are therefore going to approach development partners as equal partners, if I may put it that way. And also during this summit, Africa was able to demonstrate, the kind of resources that we have, as well as the frameworks that we have. In other words, to prove to the world that we have actually created a conducive environment for investments. And some of the partners have already started pledging support, especially in the area of energy as an example, like green hydrogen. So those are the kind of investments that we have been looking to attract. And we'll continue, of course, the output of this summit, which will be in the form of a declaration. We'll also have a roadmap or a framework for implementation, so that over the next 2 years we can be able to focus on implementing that and also mobilize more support.
Definitely. As we have like the first edition of the climate summit, Your Excellency mentioned in previous statements it's very important to focus on the early warning systems, how to develop them to save Africa's like property and lives as well. We want to know more details about the strategy of the Commission in the African Union in developing like the early warning systems in Africa.
Well, we reached a point as a continent where we feel that the issue of disasters is quite a challenge. Most of the time, whenever disasters strike, we were responding. But then we decided to take a proactive approach so that we can be able to forecast disasters before they strike. And in so doing, we can be able also to provide the necessary information to our communities to alert them, for example, if there's a looming cyclone, so that there could be efforts in terms of evacuation as an example. And through that, we are able to save lives as well as protect some of the properties. And through the African Union Commission again, working with the member states. Then we came up with a program which has to do with what we call the multi-hazard early warning system and early action. And that initiative is to provide again early warning, covering things like, for example, cyclones, floods. Now we are moving to drought, as well as looking at issues, for example, of forest fires. So those are some of the risks that we are actually focusing on or profiling at the moment. But we will also be looking into geological ones, such as earthquakes, as an example. And the plan is to roll that to regional economic communities as well as to member states. And so far, we have managed to roll it to IGAD, for example, and we are now moving towards other RECs or regional economic communities, and then also targeted member states. We have also now been working with the United Nations through their early warning for all, so that on the continent there's a coordinated effort in terms of implementing the early warning basically. But also, in addition to that, we are working on another initiative, which is the Civil Protection Unit, that will help member states to mobilize. For example, if there's a big fire somewhere, we can be able to call upon maybe a country such as Algeria. If they've got more capacity in terms of dealing with the forest fire, they can go and help, another country in Africa. So that's also another initiative that we are working on.
Perfect. Are we expecting launching further initiatives within this summit, or agreement or protocols?
Well, there are quite a number of them that are actually also going to be launched. And for example, for AU as well as WMO, World Meteorological Organization, UNDRR and other partners, we also launched what we call the action plan for early warning for all. And in addition to that, we also launched the climate report for Africa. So basically, there are a lot of parallel sessions where different initiatives as well as different frameworks are being launched.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency.